Hey, what's up, nuts? Peroz here. Just doing a little voiceover of me making the little intro 3D animation for the OurLastRitual's new logo. There's nothing to it really. I did make this quite quickly. I made it in probably a couple hours yesterday. Finished it off today in After Effects. Uh, yeah, you can see that I'm just placing down a bunch of landscapes, changing the seed, making it look how I want it to. Yeah, I made this quite quickly. I usually rush most personal kind of projects. I don't know why, it's just a bad habit. This is the footage is sped up quite a lot here, so I'll try to keep up with explaining what I'm doing, but I'm just getting a little figure there, making sure all the sizes are right. I didn't realize actually how big I was making this. This is really massive. Like those landscapes are huge, so when I put my textures on them that I eventually got my hands on, it turned out that they, were being quite stretched, so it didn't look quite as good as I wanted it to, but I wasn't too bothered about it, There was quite a few times where I did pause because I didn't really have much of a plan for this intro animation, whatever you want to call it. I basically, the other day, I got really fucking baked, and this idea just popped into my head of having some dude in a cave just like grabbing the pieces out from outside of the cave and having them smashed together. The character I used for this one, he was just a little character from, what's that game called? Devil May Cry. I think it was from like Devil May Cry 2 or 3 or something like that. So I didn't really pay much attention to that, but the character is a bit like low polygons. He's not that HD at all. And I didn't really realize that till the render had done, because I rendered this. I did this yesterday, and then I left it to render overnight, and it took quite a few hours, a bit longer than I expected. But that's because the scene was twice as big as I thought it was. You can see that I'm getting some Veroni fracture in here so I could make the fracture effect. And I wasn't sure how it would go on the landscape, and it didn't go that well for me, and I wasn't willing to spend, a lot of time on this, so I just quickly made another cube, made it flat, and stuck it under the ground so that when the logo hits it, or the rocks and whatnot fly through the floor, and it gives the appearance of it exploding through the floor when it's not really, it's just kind of going through it. There was quite a few chunks that I didn't record as well, so you'll see the scene just change like really randomly, because I did click in and out of this project a few times during the day. And here I'm trying to see if I can make a hole in the floor to see if I can replace it with that little cube. And right there, I'm trying to sort out, what you're going to see when you look through the hole when it's being broken through. But I decided not to do that. It's too much work. Couldn't be fucked. So I just went with my original idea. I didn't really know what to expect doing all of this. I didn't know how it was going to come out. But I think it came out really awesome if you've already seen it on the Ritual Twitter. You can see here I'm putting the Veroni fracture on the sides of the cave as well. So you get all the rocks and particles smashing in from the sides too. And there we go. Gotta save it, checking for the save. Alright, here I'm adding my little character in, getting the textures on him, trying to figure out where the fuck they all need to go. Trying to make them look a little bit better. Yeah, I had so much trouble with this dude's fucking skirt. It just wouldn't work. Or it was working and I was just being an idiot. That was pretty baked doing this whole thing. So I got them to the same size as I had my little figurine. I probably shouldn't have scaled him up because that would have stretched out his polygons and everything, so he'd come out kind of a little bit less, high definition. Here I'm just putting a back on the cave, because I know that I'm going to have camera angles facing towards this guy. This video is sped up quite a bit. I'm trying to fit it all into like a really short video. Here we go, I'm just getting rid of all the bones that I won't need. There I'm just having fun breaking his back left and right. And here I'm slowly trying to figure out what animations I'm going to have this guy do, and trying to make him take a step forward, but I kind of gave up after a little bit. Just decided that was just too much effort. We won't have him walk forward, and then I jumped off for a bit, and then jumped back on when I felt like I could actually, when my brain was actually working a bit better. So it's just gonna cut to another clip here. So I stopped and I came back when I was feeling a bit more, I don't know, brain strong, a little bit less baked, and we started trying to get this guy animated. I don't usually animate my characters myself. I usually just grab something off Mixamo. But this guy was already rigged up, he was already weighted and everything, so I thought, why not, let's do it. And that just meant that I could get him to move however I want to. And I don't usually animate my own characters like at all. It's very rare that I do. So it was a little bit of a learning experience for me to see how you make characters walk and this and that. And then I felt, well, at least I feel like I'm doing things in a very like old school way, you could say. I know there's a lot of plugins and things around these days that can help you animate your characters like in seconds and all that good stuff. And now I'm using Cinema4d R19. I know that like R20 and 21 they support like Mixamo animations a lot better. But yeah, we're getting him animated, getting his arm up there, trying to get it all synced up to when the logo comes up. He, you know, lifts his arm up, giving the appearance that he's, you know, using his ultimate power to bring it up, his nutty power. I'm just making sure that all of his angles are right. I want to make sure that, you know, he looks like he's got a good stance going. I really focused on his neck and his head a bit as well, because he's kind of a creepy character with really, you know, creepy limbs. So I wanted to give him a little bit of that head tilt going on, you know. Go. So we've got that first animation done where he brings his arm up and brings the middle of the logo up. Now I'm getting him ready to get into his next position where he brings his arms out and then smashes his arms and hands together to bring the other two pieces from outside the cave inside the cave. I have on my second monitor as well my Octane renderer live window preview fucking thing, so I could see what it all looked like rendered on my other monitor. You can see we're getting into the position we really want now, and I really wanted him to get that like a big lean back going, you know, like he's really powering up. Like you can see if you've watched the finished product, I have him do like a huge like male grunt before he brings his hands together, and I think that it just worked so nicely. It looks so brutal. You can see me trying to get his head perfectly. You know, little previews, making sure everything's still working correctly. Man, this is going to be a way longer video than I thought it was going to be. And here I am finally trying to work out some textures onto the rocks. This is kind of what I first had in mind. I had searched for a cave or rocky texture before, you know, doing this. And that's the texture that I found, but I wasn't happy with it like at all. It looked okay in the screen that you could see, but it was, honestly, it looks so terrible in the Octane renderer preview. And here we go, another time that I stopped and started again, and I didn't realize that I wasn't recording, so you guys missed out on a little bit of work. But I searched the internet, found a sick texture, really sick. Right now you can't see, but I'm changing the lighting in the scene. You could see it if, you know, I was actually showing my fucking Octane preview. So right now it just kind of looks like black shit. But I'd found an awesome texture, and I was working on trying to get a good texture on the logo. I always seem to have problems with getting good textures for logos and things. But that's what we're doing here, I think. And trying to see what an HDRI, I think that's what they call HDRI, environment would look like on it. And I fiddled around with it for a bit, and it just wasn't working, so I decided to go with just like the what's it called, the primary environment, so just standard. I really wish I did drag across my Octane renderer every once in a while, because you guys just can't really see what's going on here at all. But I'm just changing the lighting, changing the bloom and stuff like that, making it all look Gucci gang. I think after I finish working with the lighting and a few other things is when I start to do the camera work and stuff. But right now I'm adding more lighting into the cave because I wasn't happy with how the environment sunlight that I was using was lighting the cave, so I decided to add little area light underneath the logo. I chose the bottom just to kind of make it look like there was light coming up from the logo, from the bottom up. I don't know, it's personal preference, that one, I think, for me. And here I'm trying to find more textures to try put on the logo to try get it to fit. And I just can't, and I'm pretty sure I ended up using the exact same texture that was on the cave on the logo as well, but I just put another texture on the outline of the logo, on the fillet cap of the logo, to help it stand out more from the cave, or else it would just blend straight in with the rest of the cave. There is quite a bit here that I didn't record as well, so I'm sorry you guys missed like quite a few chunks, like when I actually got the texture on and everything. Next time I'll make sure that I also like drag across my Octane renderer window so you guys can see what's going on. Right here I think I'm just trying to make the outline and trying to change the texture a little bit on the logo just so it looks a little bit different. And I think it's here when I start to work on my cameras. Is it around here somewhere? Yeah, this is where I'm working on my camera. It's gotta be. So I wasn't sure on what camera movement I had. I had the environment done, I had everything that I needed, getting the stage set, and now I'm just dragging in cameras after cameras. And like I said, this was, I had done this very, very quickly, so. Yeah, here we go, setting up the cameras. I've only just recently learnt, how to properly use the stage, by dragging cameras in there. And basically what the stage does is it helps me switch between cameras. So I could set, at 100 frames it'll change from that camera to this camera, camera 1 to camera 2. And I think there's a bunch of different camera angles in this one. I think about 5 or 6 different camera angles here. But this is the sort of effort that goes into, 3D work, and this is what I do and how I do it. And I know a lot of you guys are pretty curious about how I do certain things, and I thought I would just record this and throw it together for you dudes that are like really interested, because I know there's a few of you dudes out there that have messaged me asking, like, well, I wonder what that entails, and well, this is it. Here it is, dudes. God, that was just so sick, man. I was just thinking to myself, making this thing, like, fuck, this is so sick. Like, this is gonna be brutal as fuck. If you want to see the final thing too, you're gonna have to go to your Twitter and search up OurLastRitual. Hit us with a fucking follow, and then you get to watch it. You scroll down on our media tab, you'll find it. So I'm getting pretty happy about my cameras here. This is sped up to shit. I did spend a bit of time on the cameras, but nothing too special. Moving keyframes back and forth. Oh yeah, also I noticed the horizon line was still, you could still see the landscape, whatever you call it. So I copy and pasted a few landscape objects there and put them way up the back, so it just blocked it off there. And it actually came out looking a lot better. I don't think there's too much else to say. That's pretty much it. And I've done all this and that, set it to render overnight, and I unfortunately didn't record me doing it in After Effects. I was big chilling today, so I didn't do that. That's pretty basic stuff there, just like color correction, adding sound effects, nothing too big. I hope you guys really enjoy this over voice thing, whatever you want to call it. I don't usually do these things, and I'm not the most confident person around, so this is very different for me, but I hope you guys really enjoy it. I'm sorry that was a little bit long, but it is what it is, man. Thanks for watching, dudes.